What's up guys, this is Final Spark sharing my playthrough of Expedition 33. Apparently after clearing the Spring Meadows region at the very beginning of the game, you can run into a little area called the Abbest cave, and you can face off against this kind of optional boss. I'm doing this at level 6 with Lune and Gustav obviously, and I died quite a few times before I started recording here. Not a lot of room for error in this boss battle, but I thought I'd kind of share this with you guys. The whole experiences of dying and eventually, spoiler alert, beating the boss at the end. As you can see, as Lune dies right there, I'm getting one shot, so I'm really trying to parry everything or dodge. Mostly parrying because I think you get more value out of that. But as you're about to see, my first death, at least of the recording, and many to follow, and then we can kind of get into how I got to beat this boss at level 6, how long it took, and things like that. So go ahead and enjoy this quick death compilation. What? So let's kind of walk through how exactly I ended up beating this boss at level 6. I'm not saying this is a crazy feat or impossible, I just wanted to share this with you guys. For Pictos, on Lune I ran Critical Burn, which gives me 25% increased critical chance on burning enemies, which is going to be really crucial later for my strategy. And Gustav here, don't worry about the other stuff. Burning shots, giving me 20% chance to burn on the free aim shot. You can kind of see how those two might connect. Obviously, both of those are only level 1, so they're not crazy at the time of recording, but they were the main Pictos I used to beat this boss as I walk through how exactly I did this. Firstly, I want to note the importance of parrying every single attack that this boss throws out. As you can shortly see, Lune and Gustav are doing almost no damage to the boss, so dodging and waiting for their turns not only draws out the fight way longer, but it also leaves much more room for error. So getting that damage from parrying is super important. Once it actually gets to Gustav's turn, you will notice how I immediately apply an attack buff to the party, which is something that I'll be looking to reestablish every 3 turns, should my chroma allow it. Once Lune's turn arrives, I look to apply a burn, which I actually already accidentally applied by shooting Gustav's gun at the start there on accident. Keeping the boss burned is going to be extremely important throughout the run since it raises Lune's crit chance into the lower 30%. This means that every time Lune parries, does an attack, she has around a 30% chance of critting. Something that is demonstrated perfectly as I counter right there and crits. Applying burn is the main focal point of this strategy because of the extra damage burning provides each turn, as well as the extra crit chance it gives thanks to Lune's Picto that I mentioned earlier. Lune's game plan is actually extremely simple. If the boss isn't burned on her turn, burn it. You may see me alternate between both her fire spells sometimes. This is to manage her stains and set up the next attack since Immolation doesn't produce clear stains. Wildfire costs more, but it does produce a clear stain, which allows me to do more damage with Immolation on the following turn, should I decide to do that. Aside from that, you may see me shooting Gustav's gun a lot before he attacks. This is actually in hopes that his shots apply a burn, since the Picto that he has equipped gives him a 20% chance of applying said burn. Should he apply a burn, you may see me going for a Thunderfall on Lune's turn. Thunderfall works in a way that synchronizes very well with my strategy. The move already shoots multiple lightning bolts, but it actually shoots more for every bolt that crits. Since the target is burned, Yune should have an increased chance of critting off each bolt, allowing her to do massive damage depending on how lucky I get, which, as you may see throughout the fight, sometimes can be pretty unlucky. So yeah, Lune's game plan is very simple. Burn the target if not burned already. If burned, shoot lightning. That's it. As for Gustav, his plan isn't quite as simple, but it's not that bad. I already mentioned earlier that I tried to shoot his gun at the start of his turn to try to find a burn, while managing his chroma, which can actually backfire if the boss decides he doesn't want to attack Gustav, since his main source of chroma is gained through parrying attacks. Aside from that though, aside from the gun, I typically follow a set of rules on his turn. If his attack buff isn't up, put it up. Keeping the attack buff up should be the main priority, even if his overcharge is fully maxed out. This is because it allows him to dish out more damage when countering and attacking. The boss, as you've already noticed, gets to go many turns before my party gets to go, so having that attack buff up for every counter is extremely beneficial. If the attack buff is up, I always use overcharged if it's maxed out, which it often is. This is one of the main sources of damage outside of countering, right next to Thunderfall. If overcharged isn't fully charged, I sometimes go for like a marking shot. Marking the boss works very well with Lune's immolation since it applies extra burn. The only issue with applying a mark on the boss is that the mark actually goes away after countering the boss. As the fight progresses, you may notice that my party no longer attacks together, it is instead separated by 1 or 2 boss attacks. This is because our lack of speed is slowly catching up to us as the fight continues. When I apply a mark in the later stages of the game, you might see me do some dodging instead of parrying, and that is in order to preserve the mark for an immolation once it gets to Lune's turn. Aside from those simple rules I follow, the fight is really just a test of patience and discipline. I have to parry every single attack that this boss throws out frame perfectly for about 30 minutes. Everything else is just speeding up or delaying the process. To save you guys the pain of watching all 30 minutes, I'll speed it up and show you guys the final minutes.
For those who come after.
I'm ready. Ready to evade. Dodge, Gustav.
Yes! Yes! Oh my god, yes! Holy dude! Oh my gosh. My character just leveled up 10 times. I can't. Oh.